What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Creativ Rise podcast. If you're watching visually, you'll see that we have not in our normal studio, but we're actually in a beautiful spot right now. It's because we were in Palm Desert, California, which we absolutely love, taking some family time and just enjoying the sunshine because it's been raining for days up in Northern California. So we are down here just enjoying some time. And also, if I'm a little nasally, it's also because I'm sick.
Christy is sick. She probably sounds like me because I'm always... For some reason, it's like every time we have to film a podcast, my allergies just slap me in the face.
Joey's body rejects the podcast,
I know.
apparently, even though we mentally are very excited about it. But thank you so much for tuning in. This is going to be a really fun episode. But first off, I wanted to highlight a little story that we got last week from one of our Creativ Rise community people. Just someone out there that has started listening to the podcast, DM'd us an awesome story. And it super encouraged us, so I hope it's going to super encourage you today about your creative business and what's possible. Okay, his name's Brad. He DM'd us this
Shout
last
out,
week.
Brad.
Shout out, Brad. Hey, guys, just wanted to say a huge thanks for all the information you're sharing across the platforms. I started listening to your podcast last week and have been binging it ever since. First of all, we just love when people binge the podcast. He also said, took your sales call advice and landed a $5,000 a month retainer yesterday.
That's $60,000 a year. That's a lot.
A $60K deal that he landed in one day. He also says, now on to where to find a better accountant, LOL. Very true, Brad. You know we are big accountant people. He also says...
Big fans of accountants. We're not accountants.
No.
We're
Sorry.
Big fans of accountants.
Big fans. He also says, maybe I'll see you in a future mastermind one day soon. Keep up the great work. First of all, Brad, thanks for sharing your story with us. And then secondly... thank you guys when you guys reach out. Like, that totally humanizes this podcast. It gets us so excited and amped up on what it's doing in the creative community. So if you've got a really awesome story, like, we'd love to hear it and just say thanks for listening. And if you find this stuff useful, please share it with your friends. Like, we want everybody to have stories like this where you're like, I just needed that one piece of advice, or I just needed that series of episodes to really pump me up, to get me out there again, to know that being a creative doesn't mean you have to be broke, that you can actually succeed at doing what you love and get super pumped for it, which is why we exist. Yeah. So we're so glad you're listening in today. And this episode is going to be really, really fun. It's actually a really tactical question that we got from one of our mastermind current members of Round 9. And it's a really good one.
Yeah, so what happened was Jordan, who's in round 9 of this mastermind, is crushing it right now. He joined the mastermind about 4 weeks in. He had gotten 2 deals that were over $15,000 each. Like, he's cranking right now. He owns a video strategy business, and he's a phenomenal dude. But he asked me the question the other day. He's like, hey, if I'm going to be getting paid for a project, how much of that project should I be able to spend on the project? Or should I not? Should I try and keep all the profit? Like, how do you think about that, Joey? And I was like, we should do a podcast on that because that's a great topic. And it's a topic that can really, really change how you operate your business, like drastically change how you operate your business. And a topic that I've sat on both ends of the answer, both the bad side of the answer, like not operating well because I wasn't thinking about it properly. And then I've also lived on the other side where I'm using my money properly, thinking about it properly, while maintaining really high profit margins. So let's talk about it. I'm
going to pepper you with some questions, Joey, and kind of drill into you on some of these thoughts that he had that I think a lot of people listening probably have thoughts on this. Like, when you do land a $5,000 retainer, or maybe like a one-time project or whatever it is, that's maybe a little bit overwhelming. What is the point in which you is outsourcing a good thing? Like, if you have a big project and you've got, a lot of different deliverables on it, or
it could be a small project.
Yeah.
It doesn't even have to be big.
If anything feels overwhelming, like, is outsourcing a good thing, or is it like, oh no, I should just always be that solopreneur that never outsources anything? Like, what do you think?
Yeah. So here's the rule of thumb: not outsourcing anything is going to common sense is going to bog you down, right? If you have consistent work, even if it's small work, and you're always doing the whole project, front to end, the whole thing, you're going to be bogged down, meaning you're not having enough time probably to spend on marketing and on sales. And if you're not spending time on marketing and sales, don't be questioning why you don't have any future work, right?
Yeah.
As a creative business owner, you should be leveraging most of your time to be geared towards finding new business. And so if you're so stuck working on the old business and it's bogging you down, your business isn't going to grow. It's easy to get to 50, 60, 70 grand a year doing everything yourself. But if you really want to get past that, especially become a 6-figure business owner, we always say if you want to become a 6-figure business owner, you got to start acting like a 6-figure business owner. 6-figure business owners, the ones that last, the people that make 6 figures year and year over year, they don't do everything themselves. And there's a lot of reasons for that. But the number one reason for that is because they know that their job as the business owner is to drive more revenues, to drive more future work. And if you are so bogged down editing, you're so bogged down shooting, you're so bogged down doing all the admin or the bookkeeping or trying to figure out your taxes. Like if the month of March comes and the entire year, so the entire month of March, you are just stuck doing your own taxes and you do no work other than your tax prep, like that's probably not a good sign.
Yeah.
You probably should find a way to pay some money into something, get your time back, and go be able to find more business. So outsourcing is a phenomenal thing, no matter what stage of your business you're at, because it allows you to reprioritize yourself on the things that really matter the most, which is the health of your business, which is driven by the blood of your business. If the business has no blood in it, aka revenue, then it's going to dry up and it's going to die.
Yeah.
So prioritizing your time as a business owner to be able to focus on sales and marketing is super good. And if you are listening to the podcast and you're going, I don't have much time for sales and marketing, well, it's probably because you're either focused on the wrong things or you're bogged down doing all of the work in your business, and you're not able to actually work on the business, which is driving you revenue and all that.
Okay, so let's say someone is like, okay, you've convinced me to outsource. Great. But like, how much money do I allocate in a project to be able to afford outsourcing? Or like, how do I view that? Because I don't want to spend all my money outsourcing and have no profit.
Yeah.
But then I also don't want to, not put enough towards outsourcing where I'm actually successful. Where is that like happy medium? Is there a happy medium? Is there like a rule of thumb when it comes to outsourcing of how much of a project to spend with outsourcing?
Yeah, so there is a formula for outsourcing on any project that can help keep you profit first and have your profit margins be high, but at the same time, it's giving your time back and it's mitigating your tax risk. It's like the perfect outsourcing formula in terms of math. And I'm a little bit of a math geek. So this is how it works. If you are going to be making, let's use simple math here. If you're going to be making $10,000 on a project. Okay, I'm going to whip out my calculator here. $10,000 on a project. Let's say that it is a headlining video for a company. You're shooting a 60 to 90 second video to go up on somebody's website, and you're going to break that down into some shorter clips to go in different places. This is going to be a really, really, really big trust builder for the client you're working for. You're charging them 10 grand. You're like, okay, great, this is awesome. This is going to be a lot of work though. I got to script, I've got to shoot, I've got to edit, I've got to handle all the admin on there, I've got to close the deal, I got to do all these things. Is there any opportunity for me to outsource on this? Well, that's the question. The answer is yes, there is. And here's what it looks like. I would look at this $10,000 and I would go, okay, what state and or province do I live in and which country do I live in? And what you need to do is you need to Google your tax rates. If you do not know your tax rates, you need to Google your tax rates. So growing up in Canada, I would assume that every single time I got paid, 30% of any paycheck I got automatically had to go towards an account that was labeled as tax that I was going to save and then give to the government, because Canada's got decently high taxes, and I was in Ontario, which has decently high taxes. We now live in California, and it's the same thing, decently high taxes, right? So whether you're in California, whether in your Louisiana, Alabama, wherever you are, you need Australia, you need to know what you are presuming to be taxed. Going, if I'm going to make $100,000 this year, $200,000 this year, $50,000 this year, what does that mean I get taxed? The easy answer for that is pull out your phone, Google your country's federal tax rate, and then Google your state or your province's provincial or state tax rates. And then you just add those together. And then what you can do is you can now know that every time you make $10,000, let's say that you are in California and you are going to be getting taxed 26%, because it's like whatever federal tax and state tax combined equals 26% sales tax, or 26% tax on any profit or on any job you make. So I was like, okay, I got $10,000 here, but I know I'm going to have to pay 26% on this $10,000 in tax. So 26% on $10,000 is obviously $2,600. Now here's how tax works, guys. You only get taxed on the profit you keep. I'm really rambling here, but hopefully this is going to make sense. You only get taxed on the profit you keep. So the issue is, if you were to go, I'm not hiring anybody, I'm going to keep all $10,000, you just kept all $10,000, you're now getting taxed $2,600 on that $10,000 deal, and you're bogged down because you have nobody to help you on the job. Versus the healthier way to do this, and the way that people with better financial and money mindsets are going to look at this, is they're going to look at what they're getting taxed, and they're going to go, if I can take what I'm going to be getting taxed, and I can use that money that's either going to the government Or I can use it to actually help me on this deal. I can use it to give me my time back. I can use it to hire an editor. I can use it to help me with a crew for filming. I can use it to hire an accountant, whatever it's going to be. They leverage the money that's going to be going to the government as tax money. They leverage that and use that as a business expense on each deal, which then comes off of what they're getting taxed. So what you're doing is you're not really taking any money out of your profit, because the tax is taking your profit to begin with. So what you do is you mitigate the tax, you lower the tax, the amount you're going to be getting taxed at the end of the year, because you're using the pre-assumed money that would be going to the government in tax as a business expense that can help you with the job. So it not only lowers your taxes, but also makes your life way easier, because you're able to get help on every gig you ever do, or you're able to, hire an accountant, you're able to hire a bookkeeper, you're able to hire whatever, you're able to invest in the mastermind, like whatever it's going to be. You're able to somehow use your dollars as employees to help you on the job and or help you in a way that's going to grow your business. That is the way you want to think about money when you own a business. It's not how do I keep as much as possible so that I make as much money as possible. You're going to end up giving a chunk of that to the government. So use the chunk you're going to have to give the government to grow your business. Take those deductions as business expenses, and it's going to put you in practically the same place. So whenever I get a job, I often think about that. I go, okay, if I've got 30% of this gig is going to go into the tax man, how do I leverage this 30% up front to help me with this job and or another piece of my business? And it's going to mitigate the tax I have to pay on this one job. So helpful.
That's super, super helpful. So what are a couple little things that if someone's like, okay, let's say they get a job and they're creating content for a company. Let's say it's like a $5,000 deal. They're creating content consistently for a company every single time. What would be like the first one or two things you would outsource on a project that you feel like would help you then go create more sales in your business and to be able to continue to push your business forward? Just if someone's outsourcing for the first time and they're like, what do I choose to outsource?
Yeah, so the first things you want to outsource, it's twofold. You either want to outsource the thing you hate the most, because you obviously don't want to keep doing that, or you want to outsource the thing that's not impacting future revenue. It's not driving new business. So a great example of this is if it's a $5,000 video package, outsource the file management and the editing, because that's not going to affect you going and getting another sale. The sale's already been done. Just go focus on getting another sale, because you have somebody helping you actually put together all the pieces, put together the final product, and the client's going to love it. And here's the little deal breaker for a lot of people. People are like, well, I can't find someone that's as good as I am at this. It's like, quite frankly, you're probably not that good at it. There's probably someone who does it professionally. That's all they do is edit. They don't do all the other stuff. They're a phenomenal hire.
The truth hurts, but it's good.
Yeah,
it's good.
Totally. So, that's what you want to outsource. You want to look for the things that you dislike the most, because if you dislike something a ton, you hate having to do it. It's going to drain your energy, which then drains your energy from doing other things that are going to bring in new revenue. Or you want to go to the thing that's not going to be making you any future money. It's not actually driving a new sale, and go, how do I hire somebody to just push this thing to the finish line for me? I do that all the time. We do that all the time. And it's so, so helpful.
Yeah. And I know you touched on this at the very beginning, but I just want to press on this one more second, is for the person that's like, I'm not making tons of money yet. Like I'm actually just kind of like getting by, but I really want to grow my business, but I do feel like I'm already bogged down in the deliverables, right? In the editing, in whatever, but I'm kind of scared to spend money because it doesn't feel like a ton's coming in. What's your advice to that person? I know you touched on it just a little bit, but what's your advice to that person?
The reality is a ton's not coming in, probably because you're not focused on the right things. If you're not focused on sales and marketing, you're probably not seeing new business. So if you're bogged down with editing, you're bogged down with shooting all of these weddings and then editing all the weddings, you're bogged down with editing the wedding videos, you're bogged down with the commercial video you're trying to shoot and all the editing like composed into the back of that. Like I've met some people that say, oh yeah, when I shoot a wedding, it takes me 40 to 70 hours to edit the wedding video. And I'm like, that's 40 to 70 hours you could have had to get new business. That's insane. Yeah. Even if you have somebody help you with half of that, they do all the file management, they color, they pick music for you, they get the main part of the story figured out, and then you just come in and put on the final touches. Like even that would be better, right?
Right.
So if you're not even in a place where you feel like you can outsource because you're not making enough money, the reality of not making enough money is probably because you're doing everything, right? And so it's going, okay, if I can pay somebody $20, $30, $40 an hour to help me on this project, but I'm going to be able to use that hour to potentially go get another couple $1,000 deal. That's just basic math, guys. That's easy, right?
Yeah.
Like your time has got to be leveraged on the thing that is going to get the best return on investment. And if you can't learn to think that way, your business is never going to grow probably to the place you want it to grow.
That's so good. Okay, guys, this is great advice. If you are someone who's just starting in business, outsourcing is for you. If you're someone who's far beyond the beginning and you are crushing it, outsourcing is definitely for you. So it's for everybody, and it's figuring out, how do I manage my taxes and how do I utilize bringing down my profit in a healthy way so that I can then make more profit in the future. So I hope that this is encouraging to you. Don't let the curve of small business, this is how I was just reading this the other day. When small businesses start, they start off and they rocket up in sales because they're focusing on the things that they need to focus on. Then they get stuck putting out fires. They get stuck editing. They get stuck in like the minutia of running their business and doing all the deliverables of their business, that their business starts to decline and they start to not receive sales. And so recognize that outsourcing is a part of that. Recognizing that straightening out that curve means outsourcing and getting help so that you can go back to doing the things that gets you business and that keeps your business growing. So any last thoughts, Joey, on outsourcing that you want to tell everybody?
Every dollar is an employee. Use them properly. Every
That's so
dollar
good.
you make can either help your business grow, or you can just stick it in an account, and a massive percentage of it is going to go to the tax man at the end of the year. So
Awesome.
figure out how to view your dollars, your money properly, and you'll have a completely different business.
Awesome. So, okay, I hope this is super helpful for you guys. Utilize that freedom of outsourcing and you will watch your business grow. DM us if you have questions. DM us if you got an awesome story about landing a deal that you absolutely
Yeah,
love
would
and are
love- would love
stoked
to
about.
hear.
We're happy to celebrate with you because, again, we're just a fun, inclusive community that loves supporting other people winning. So, you guys, thank you so much for listening, and we will see you next week.
Thanks, guys.